If you are a matcha fan like I am, these are a must bake. Hi, my name is Janelle and you're watching Everyday Jane, and today in my kitchen we're making matcha almond white chocolate chunk cookies, and they are so good. So let's get started. So to a large bowl, we're going to add half a cup of softened room temperature butter, unsalted. So that goes right into our bowl. Good. All right, get that in. Okay, and we're going to cream our butter and sugar, right? So to this recipe, I'm going to add both brown and white sugars. So I'm going to add a half of a cup of brown sugar. I've got a 1/4 cup scoop here, so I'm gonna do 1, 2, and that's half a cup of brown sugar, and just 3 tablespoons of white sugar. I really worked hard on getting like the sugar perfect in this recipe for at least my taste. So 3 tablespoons of white sugar. So that's 1. I am running low on sugar here. 2, 3. All right, so we will work on beating this together until it lightens up a bit. Well, just gonna scoop that right back in. I have a clean countertop. So these cookies are so good. It's the perfect amount of bitter and sweet. If you like matcha tea or matcha tea lattes, this tastes exactly like a matcha tea latte in cookie form. It is incredible. So it'll probably only take you about 30 seconds to cream together the butter and the sugar. You could obviously use a hand mixer for this, but it's Saturday and I'm baking. I don't mind taking that little extra bit of time, no rush here. So once you've creamed everything together and it's lightened up, it's looking fluffy, all of the sugar is dissolved, it's time to move on to the next step. So I'm going to add my egg here. We're just going to use 1 large egg. And I'm also going to add a little bit of oil. We're going to use a tablespoon of oil. I'm using just some olive oil here. That's going to help with some crispness. And lastly, these are matcha almond cookies. So we're going to use a little bit of almond extract. Just a 1/4 teaspoon, just enough for it to have that bit of almond, but not to be overpowering. You still want to taste that matcha, so I'm just going to use a 1/4. Almond extract is so strong, so definitely don't go overboard with this. I love amaretto-y flavor, but omit it if you don't like it. So I'm going to stir this all together. Ooh, it smells like almond. It's such a beautiful smell. So since I used unsalted butter, now I'm going to go in and add the salt. This is a 1 bowl recipe. I'm not mixing the dry and the wet and putting it in together. I just want to put it on 1 big bowl, and I think it works just fine. So I'm going to use a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and it goes a half a teaspoon of baking soda. Just a half a teaspoon. We want these to be like fudgy and yummy in the center. And then I want to go in with my matcha powder. So I'm running low on my stock here. I'm just gonna take a quick look here to see. I've got my clean measuring scoop. Make sure that the clumps are all out. You might have to shake your jar or your container first, or if you wanna use a small little sieve, you can, because matcha powder tends to clump up. So I'm gonna put in 2 teaspoons of matcha, because I love that strong matcha flavor, especially with the sweet sugar and the white chocolate. But if you don't like strong matcha flavor, I've done this with 1.5 teaspoons, and it's a really nice subtle amount. So use what amount works for you. I'm just quickly stirring that in, just to get that all together, because we added that baking soda, right? So we want that to be mixed well. And next, our other component of almond. So the almond extract, but we're also going to use a little bit of almond flour. This almond flour is going to give it a little bit more of a boost in almond flavor, and it's going to add such a good texture to our cookies. 1/4 cup of almond flour going in, and I like to do a nice stir of all the ingredients before we go in with that flour. And now our flour. So I've got some all-purpose white flour, and I'm going to use a cup. I always remember to fluff my flour a little bit, and then Gonna level it off. 1 cup of white flour going in, and guys, this is really almost there. It is such an easy recipe. So stir it all together until it's just combined. I'll show you what we're looking for here. All right, so this is just combined. You can see there is just a little bit of white flour there. That's fine. And we're gonna go in and add our white chocolate chunks. We've got some real white chocolate here, and these are so delicious, and I've really just chopped them up into these chunks. But if you've got white chocolate chips, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm using 2/3 a cup of white chocolate chunks, and I'm going to reserve a few just to top the cookies with at the very end. So I'm gonna take just a bit out. You don't have to do this, you can throw it all in the cookie now, but I just want to have it look a little bit prettier for you guys. And in the rest goes. Final stir to incorporate the chocolate chunks. That last bit of flour, make sure you get everything on the sides. Let me tell you, this smells so good. If you are a matcha fan like I am, these are a must bake. All we have to do is turn on the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm gonna pop this bowl in the fridge. Only as long as the oven takes to get to temperature. So that's gonna be maybe like, let's say 10 minutes if you wanna measure it. It doesn't need long in the fridge at all, just a little bit to firm up, and then we'll come back and scoop our cookies. So it's been about 10 minutes that my cookie dough has been in the fridge, and it's time to scoop up into a cookie sheet. I have got a cookie sheet with some parchment paper on top. To avoid this from moving around, I'm just gonna take a little bit of cookie dough, put it right in the center. And that way, it kind of affixes to the sheet, and I won't have to worry about it sliding everywhere. This batch of cookie makes about 9 really generous sized cookies. So, you know, if you want to double the batch, go right ahead, but 9 is perfect for such a delicious, indulgent cookie. And I'm going to use one of these cookie scoops. This one's like ice cream scoop size with a trigger, and it makes it so easy. So you can go ahead and scoop these up. And if you find you have a little bit of extra dough like I do, I just go back, putting a little bit more on the top of each cookie so that they all have an even amount. So at this point, what you can do is just shape them a little bit nicely with your fingers if you want them to be as circular as possible. Just get those edges in. Doesn't take much time at all to do this, but you can obviously skip it. Typically, you know, really no need. You know I'm a big fan of the rustic look anyway. Okay, so now that you've got these nice little circular cookies, remember how I reserved some of that white chocolate chip? I'm gonna just top each one with a few of these. I mean, you've got green cookies, right? You wanna make these look a little bit nicer. So my cookies are ready to be baked. My oven's on convection at 350, and I'm gonna pop these in for 8 to 10 minutes. So these literally just came out of the oven, and one thing I wanna show you is you wanna just do a quick I know that's weird. So a tap on a countertop. I've got my little cork things here. I'm just gonna go and do the other side here, make sure it's even. And what you can see is that it sort of just caused any sort of air to pop a little bit or to release a bit. So now you're gonna have a little bit more of a thin cookie, and you'll get just that little bit more of a fudgy center. You guys know I'm a big fan of soft and chewy cookies on the inside, but a little bit crispy on the outside. So that's a fun little trick if ever you wanna try it. As you can tell, they do spread out quite a bit. Some of them are even touching a little bit, but that's fine. It'll be just as good. And once these have been on the tray for 5 minutes, you want to take a spatula and put them on a cooling rack to cool completely, if you can wait that long. All right, let's taste this bad boy. First, I'm gonna break into one so you can see what it looks like inside. It is so Ooey gooey. My husband does not know what ooey gooey. He's like, what does ooey gooey mean? I think ooey rhymes with gooey, but it is gooey inside. Nice and crispy on the outside. I don't know if you can see sort of the edge on the bottom there, but there's some definite crispness. So you're gonna have those contrasting textures, plus bitter and sweet. Oh, okay, let's stop talking and let's take a bite. That is so yummy. I really hope you give this a shot. If you're a fan of matcha, you've gotta try these cookies. It's got that like light bit of, you know, almond just in the back. It's not overpowering at all. It's a real winner, and I hope you give it a shot at home. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you subscribe for more videos, and have a wonderful day. Bye.